Hi, I'm Amy from Jerry's Artorama, and today we're going to do a really fun kind of just a break from the traditional fine art, something anybody can do, the entire family can enjoy. It's great for a girls' night out, heck, even for a bachelor party as long as there's enough alcohol. So, we're going to do a pouring painting. We are using DaVinci Pro panels, where it's an already gessoed panel with a cradle, so it's got some depth to it, so you don't have to hang it with a frame if you choose to hang the artwork. We are using LUKAS Cryl Liquid Acrylic, so it's nice and thin, very easily pourable. With that, we're going to be adding 50% of the Liquitex pouring medium. What that does is it helps give strength to the mixture. It makes it level and flow very nicely, and you'll see it just makes it really dynamic and really cool. So we've got our panel. We've got some plastic cups up under it. The nice thing about using a panel instead of canvas is it's not going to bend and flex. It's not going to get stuck to the cups because the paint won't be stuck to it. I've got a juicer instead of a colander. It's got a little bit kind of wider holes here, so it gives a little bit kind of nice, brighter, thicker design. What we've done is we've put some little plastic bumpers from our framing department on here. They just have adhesive just to keep this up off the surface just slightly so that the paint can get up under the colander and it flows a little bit easier. So we've got that. I've already got my colors mixed. What we're going to do, it's kind of what's called a dirty pour, but I'm not going to be really trying to mix this a lot because we don't want it too mixed. It won't make the colors kind of as bright and be able to pop out as easily. I'm going to pour these in. We're going to use a little bit of the blue to kind of cover our corners, because the corners are kind of the last thing that ends up being covered. I'm not wanting to dump all of that in just yet. I'm going to kind of layer this. If you pour quickly, it goes right to the bottom. You pour a little slower, some of it will sit on top, and then that will help with the overall design of the work. I've got, let's see, cadmium yellow light, a cadmium red deep, an ultramarine light, and titanium white that we're using. Since the corners are kind of the last thing, since this is going to come out in a circular pattern, I'm going to cover those so it goes ahead and runs off of there. Once you get used to doing this, you don't have to use as much paint. We're just trying to make sure that this flows really nicely for this demonstration, so we're being a little more generous than you really have to be to do this. All right, now with this, you don't have to use a colander. Sink strainers are very popular. You do want it to be a hard plastic, not any of the silicone ones that flatten out because the weight of the paint could potentially collapse them. So just anything that's got kind of those vertical lines on it so that the paint goes out. Different holes and things like that won't tend to give you kind of the unique patterning that you may be looking for with this. So we've got our corners covered. We're going to go ahead and pour. I'm not going to just dump this in. I'm going to swirl it around. It will help kind of make the unique pattern that we'll see with this. All right, here we go. All right, and you can see as that's going, it's pushing into that blue. I'm going to go ahead and lift this up. It looks like the majority of that paint's kind of come through. That white's made a really cool design on the top. I think it might make it. Okay, and at this point you can do one of two things. You can either wait for some more of that to drip off. You can actually grab it and tilt it a little bit, or you can actually take a spoon, or if you've got a little bit of leftover paint, either from your cup or from your extra color cups, you can actually kind of spoon it on the sides. So it's kind of to decide what. I think that would be best. Now you'll notice there are some little kind of color bursts in here. Those are air bubbles, and what's happening is as those burst, the lighter pigments come up through the bubble, the heavier pigments sink down. Some people use a torch and actually heat it just to release those bubbles. You can just blow on it very lightly. The surface movement with just blowing on it pops those bubbles generally. If you blow on a lot, it'll lose this really cool design because it'll push the paint around too much. All right, so this one is all done. We are going to wait for this to dry and get a really great shot of it for you guys so you can see what it looks like when it's completely done. Now we are going to switch gears. We will try one with the smaller sink strainer on a little bit smaller panel just so you can see kind of what the difference is. All right, we are going to start our second pouring. We've got one of the little sink strainers. We've got a smaller DaVinci Pro panel, and we've added black to the color kind of spectrum we've got here. Now we are going to try this with just pouring the colors in directly instead of a dirty pour. First, I'm going to go ahead and add white around the edge just to make it so that we don't have to deal with kind of tilting anything. Rather than dumping it by the cup, I'm just taking the spoon and kind of gently pouring it off the edge to make sure it coats it. Okay, so now that we've got this all the way around, I'm gonna smooth that edge so it doesn't kind of hit it and then run back towards itself. All right. First color, we'll just go ahead and pour a little white in there. Just pouring it straight in, trying to make it as dead center as I can. All right, and we are going to let this sit and dry, and then we'll get a great high-res photo of it for you. And we will now switch to one more dirty pour with this size with the sink strainer. All right, for our third and final pour, we're going to do the dish strainer again on the smaller panel, and we'll do a dirty pour. I went ahead and went around the edges just to save a little time with something really bright. All right, we're ready to go. Got our dirty pour, and we're going to spiral it around the outside. All right, so that is our third pour, and that's just with spiraling with the dish strainer with a dirty pour. So hope you've had fun, learned a few tricks, and this is something anybody can do. Clearly, it's a lot of fun and it creates a lot of really neat color and something really cool. Check the description below for the supplies that we used today and the pouring kit that we'll have for you, where you can just order that and get a strainer or colander or a juicer and go from there. Happy creating.